all right. Good morning, everybody. This is AJ. This is AJ's Political Views. I want to welcome you to the live this morning. I hope that everybody's doing lovely. And support, it'd be much appreciated. Today, we're going to talk about it's time to change the message. How can we win the game against corruption in politics? That's what we're going to talk about today. Please join me. This is AJ's Political Views. Enjoy the intro. I'll be right back. All right, let me give a few shout outs this morning. Good morning to you, Sarah. Good morning, Q2. How are you? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Thunder. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming in AJ's Political Views. Thank you so much. Time to change the message. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, beautiful Virgo. Thank you for coming on this side of town, taking part in AJ's Political Views, where we connect people in politics and make political speech easy to understand, give you that old school radio talk show type of vibe with a little podcast on the side. You know what we do. You know how I do it. You know how I do it. You know how I do it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing lovely. Let me say good morning to Carlos. Good morning, Kania. Good morning, 8190. Good morning, Shelton. Good morning, everybody. How can we win the game against corruption in politics? All right, so listen. There's a lot of messages that are going around as regards to what's going to happen, what might happen regarding the administration that's going to be coming into office on January the 20th. As I say often, many people are scared, afraid, and a lot of people are depressed and having anxiety because of the uncertainty in America. Now, there's a lot of things that this administration is already talking about doing. I just found out this morning they want to roll back regulations regards to the banking system in this country. In other words, they don't want your money protected. That is something that I'm hearing that's going to happen. But I think, again, they also creating an atmosphere of fear because they want us to be afraid. They want us scared, just running around here like a chicken with his head cut off. You know what I mean? But we cannot allow these individuals to control the narrative in the conversation. We have to control the conversation and the messages that we send out. It's time to change the message because at the end of the day, it's all about fighting against corruption in politics because that's what we're going to have right now. We're going to have an oligarch that represents the wealthy running the United States of America, billionaires that's going to be on his administration in his cabinet. And that represents corruption for the most part because they're going to be cutting money from you and I and increasing money for themselves. So what do we do about it? How do we deal with that? How do we address it? What decisions do we have to make moving forward as regards to changing the conversation, moving in a different direction? If you want to win, you got to talk like it, act like it, and walk like it, and you need to organize if you want to win. Now, if you're a loser, then you might not want to take part in this conversation today. All right, so let me read my disclaimer. I do notice that I have a guest here this morning. Let me first welcome a sidekick, Roberto. What's going on, Roberto?
Hi, AJ. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Here we
I
are.
was just going to say, don't forget your disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting ready to read that now, and then I'm going to go up to the guest here. I think I know who this is. He's been here before. Don't change. He got his picture up there now. I almost didn't know who he was. Let me read the disclaimer, then I'm going to gospel. Hold on, everybody. The assessment of any individual or policy, including the persons mentioned here, is not based on knowledge from a personal interaction with any one person, but is only offered here as thoughts and opinions, primarily based on things read and seen that may be of news media, tabloids, blogs, rumors, conspiracy theories, and other platforms where conversations and speeches are held, which means that all is seen as untrue until proven otherwise. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I am your host, AJ, And this is AJ's Political Views, where we connect people with politics and giving them that old school radio talk show type of vibe with a little podcast on the side. Now, y'all know I do it a little bit different every day, but good morning to everybody. Thank you. All right, so let us welcome our first guest. I can't see the whole name, but I'm saying God's favorite. Yeah, God's favorite. I knew God's favorite been here before. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Good morning. Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Good to hear you, man. Good to be back.
Well, I'm glad to have you. It's on your mind this morning.
Um, Listen, I agree with everything you said, and I see an opportunity here. One thing we know for a fact that everyone that's in the vicinity of Donald Trump either ends up losing their law license or convicted or ending up in prison. We know this. We've seen his track record or resigning. I say that we're going to have to take advantage of the upcoming opportunities that they are going to make in mistakes in this administration. We know that billionaires have egos, all these different personalities, and don't think there's going to be a little chaos because billionaires tend to follow their own rules, from what I know. And we're going to have to be proactive and respond accordingly to their mistakes in this administration to win.
I think you make a lot of valid points. You're right. We are going to have to win the House, and that's possible. Probably more possible than we realize. But we need to organize and figure out how can we combat the issues that they're going to create in this country as regards to fulfilling the needs of the people, because that's why they were voted into office. But when you're talking about an oligarch, when you're talking about an administration full of billionaires, their main goal is to see how much money they can cut from government to put in their pockets for the most part. That's how they think. I know everybody's talking about the midterm elections. That's 2 years away. This is a test. We've never in our lifetime, at least in my lifetime, have ever seen nor experienced anything like this as it relates to a political party just so far to the right. When you're talking about literally uprooting everything within the government, I mean, their goal is to tear it down to build it back up to their liking. That's what they want to do. They're saying, oh, it's going to be some hard times. You guys are going to go through some things. We're going to suffer. Oh, but it's going to get better because they believe that their new government is going to make things better. And I got news for you. I don't think so.
Well, let me give you an example because some issues are going to take on a life of their own. Let's take veterans. Let's take that issue that they have with veterans. And I don't think veterans will sit back, just like they did when John Stewart came, and he had to get the Congress to make a move on helping veterans. I think some of these issues are going to resonate. And there's people that have there's politicians.
Well, God's favorite. This is where I'm at right now. I'm not looking for politicians to do for us anymore. I'm past that. I'm looking at ways for us to do for ourselves so we don't have to go through all this drama with regards to anxiety and depression and everything else, because we're always worried about the government's going to cut something or they're going to take something away from us. And at some point, we need a backup plan. When the government fails us, then what are we going to do? If they don't make the right decisions for the people on the behalf of the people, what are we left to do? We got to figure out something that we can do on our own. I'm not saying disregard the government and not hope for the best as regards to politicians doing the right thing and defending and protecting our rights in this country. I think it's very important. We need politicians that's going to defend and protect the Constitution. That's why we're doing a petition to remind them on how important that is to do that. But at the end of the day, we, the people, have to figure out what is it we're not doing and what do we need to do. Yes, there were people that voted the wrong way, no doubt about it. But many of us had this expectation that everybody was okay with Harris when they wasn't. And many of us had this expectation that all the Democrats was going to go along to get along, and they didn't. The only reason why they're able to do and say the things that they're able to say and do because this country is divided. And as long as this country stays divided, they're going to win. We got to figure out how to work across the aisle, how we all need to come together. Now, I'm not talking about hate groups. Hate groups are in a box by themselves. You can't reason with people of hate. I do want you to know that their goal is not to have another election. And no telling what they might try to do to keep that from happening. But if you want to stay positive and you want to believe that there will be a midterm, then okay, let's hope for the best. Let's put all the pieces and puzzles together and hope that the midterm will turn out in the right way for the Democratic Party, okay? But in the meantime, because we're talking 2 years from now, what do you think we should be doing when you got billionaires running this country? What do you think these billionaires are going to do? They're going to be looking out for corporations, all right? People are going to get fired all over the place. People that have been on jobs for 20, 30, 40 years, haven't retired, they're going to start forcing people to retire, and they're going to start cutting back, and they're going to start promoting minorities in this country because of the type of administration that we have in office right now and the various type of laws they're seeking to implement, not to mention all the agencies, government agencies that they're trying to cut. Just found out this morning, they're trying to get rid of the oversight agency that oversees the banks and make sure that if something come up with your money, if your money come up missing, you know, it's insured. They literally is coming out the regulations in that area. Do you want your money to stay in a bank where you possibly can lose your money because of the rolling back of the regulations? Think about it. Roberto?
They're trying to get rid of FDIC.
Yes.
You know why?
Of course I know why. They don't want the money tracked.
They can just take your money.
Not only take your money, they don't want money tracked either. Okay, they can move money around without it being tracked.
That's called laundering.
You said it, not I. And promote Bitcoins. That's right. That's what they're seeking to do, people. You know, this playing around and pretending like, you know, everything is normal when it's not. It's crazy. We're not living in a normal time. The administration that is getting ready to take office, they are not normal. The person that just been voted in as president of the United States is not normal. If you go back, 20 years, that guy wouldn't even had an opportunity to run for president. With all the laws that he's broken and the gossip and the rumors out there about him, he wouldn't even had an opportunity to run for president of the United States. If you didn't think we had corruption, let me tell you, we have corruption in politics right now. You thought was going to be ran this way or that way, that's not the case anymore. Things are not normal. They're going to do things that's going to shock you and surprise you. And we're talking about corporations, the Christian nationalist movement, and hate groups. Hate groups, corporations, and corrupt politicians. They are the ones that is getting ready to take office. And what are the American people going to do? First thing we got to figure out to do is how to get past going after one another, consistently dividing the country, because the only power we have is each other. And the Constitution is the last thing standing. And if the Constitution falls, we're in trouble. And the people need to remind politicians how much they value the Constitution. How much do you value the Constitution? People talk about everything else, but they very, very rarely mention the Constitution. They talk about the border. They talk about food prices. They talk about everything else but the Constitution. Because without the Constitution, none of that matters. That means that politicians would be able to do whatever they want to do against you. They wouldn't care if the food prices go up. They wouldn't care if the gas prices go up. And they won't care about the border. They won't care about your health. They won't care about anything because they will have sole control and power of this country. It's in a process. First, you got to put people in place, billionaires and millionaires that are in control of the government is what lead you into dictatorship. We're in the first phase of it. They're putting people in place. And I told you, and I've said it many times before, we got to see where the military is, because once they get the military, it doesn't matter. And that's what they want. That's the meat of it all, the military. And if Trump can get the military, get those soldiers to follow those generals, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. But it's a process. Nothing happens overnight. But the question is, what are the American people going to do about it? Are we going to wait? Are we going to sit back and just wait till things happen and then try to do something? No, we got to figure out what we're going to do when we have a corrupt government and corrupt politicians in office. How should we behave? How should we live? How should we save? What should we be doing moving forward as it relates to our jobs? Because some people may think that their jobs are secured and they're not. Some people may think that their positions are secured and they're not. Because whenever you're dealing with the atmosphere of corruption, it spreads abroad. And if it starts from the government that gives corporations rights to do this, that, and the other, because let's not forget that they're also coming after the Constitution, and they want to come after civil rights in this country. They're already coming after citizenship in this country. If they win against citizenship, what do you think that means as it relates to the Constitution? That's written in the Constitution. Do you not know that? So they're coming after citizenship without even making an amendment to the Constitution. They're literally trying to write laws about robbing people of their citizenship, which goes against the Constitution. And because they don't know the Constitution, many folks run around here agreeing with it because they think it's going to make their lives better. Primarily the YT men out here. The ones that blue collar and work every day just like everybody else. Pay bills just like everybody else. Need benefits and health insurance just like everybody else. Wanting the same things that all in this country want. But because of some of them having a superiority complex, they are blinded, walking in darkness and believing liars, telling them that they're going to look out for them, and they don't even know that they're going to lose too. One thing about billionaires and millionaires, they don't care nothing about nobody except their bottom line, and it's their profit and their bonuses. Now, don't get it twisted. I know that there are some rich people out here in this world that are good people and can care less about getting tax breaks and don't mind paying extra taxes. I know that there are rich people out here that do care about the American people. They are concerned about the American people. But those people are not going to be the administration that's about to take office. We don't have those type of billionaires that's going to be taking office here. These are Trump-alikes. So when you see Trump, you see them. When you see them, you see Trump. That's why they're so dangerous. Because they got the same mentality and attitude that he has. It's all about the money. It's all about power. He literally got a billionaire, one of the richest men in this country and in the world, who is not even an American, whispering in his ear, telling him how to do and what to do as they talk about robbing people of their citizenship. Roberto?
I've said it before. What people don't really understand, the whole thing's about a robbery. They're trying to empty our treasury. That's the goal.
They want to break the country because this is not their country. All right? They don't care. And I know that there are some people out there, hear me good, that voted for Trump. They still don't believe that he is connected to the 2025 project. I don't care what is said. This man has mentioned several things from the 2025 project, and they still don't believe it. Democrats and those that did not vote for Trump, we got to get out of the way of having debates with individuals on why they voted for somebody. The only question we should be asking from Trump voters is, what are your expectations? And what would it take for you to change your support of him? What is it that he has to do? Now, if they are racist and represent hate groups, those questions wouldn't matter because they are in it for the wrong reason. They voted for him because they felt like he would protect the YT rights to be above everybody else. That's the difference. But I'm talking to those individuals that are really truly about all of Americans, not just people that, YT, but all Americans in this country, even those that were that got their citizenship legally, even those that weren't born here, but they went through the process to get their citizenship. Those folks too, they are considered Americans. Now, listen, if you over here illegal, which goes against the law, then you have to be dealt with accordingly. I get that part. But that's not what they're talking about. They're not talking about coming after illegal individuals. They're talking about coming after anybody else that's not YT, that got papers. And I truly believe that one day they may even try to come after people like myself that was born and raised in this country. And my connections to Africa is hundreds of years apart. But as far as they're concerned, because I'm not YT, I don't belong here. Because believe it or not, there are politicians and individuals that are going to be taking part in Trump's administration that think just like that. That's why they're coming after the HBCUs. They're trying to cripple the black colleges in this country by robbing them of their resources, stripping them of the government funding. They want to do that. And they want to use this ideal that there's some kind of reverse discrimination going on as regards to YT people. They want to use the term DEI as another argumentative point, which they just tucking up in Congress just here recently, that they want to overturn that because they want to make it a race issue when it's really not about a race issue. It's about fairness. But they want to change the narrative like they do on everything. They always change the narrative. And they do it because there's a lot of vulnerable, uneducated people out here that do not fact check to get facts. Then they always pivot. When you try to have an intellectual and adult-like conversation with them, they pivot. Oh, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this. Oh, but what about Biden? Oh, what about, listen. I say to anybody, if your guy has won, why are you still having a conversation about Biden? Trump has won the election. The conversation should be about him, not about Biden, not about Harris. You got what you wanted. But see, they got what they wanted and it's still not satisfied. The propaganda, the misinformation, the lies, they ate it up and they went in that booth and they voted for Trump. But they still running from platform to platform, from live to live, getting up on panels, still trying to talk about Biden and Harris after Trump has won the election. You got to be able to identify nickels, dimes, and quarters. Some people are waiting on their check. Once a month, every 30 days. They got a quota, commission. Not everybody that's talking up on these panels are voters. They're not all voters. You may find that some of them, who knows, might even be connected to various campaigns. I mean, think about it. It doesn't make sense after your guy has won for you to get up on panels and still talk about how bad Biden was, how bad Harris was, how they wasn't good enough to run and this, that, and the other when they didn't even win. You got what you wanted and you still complaining? It's just like ABC settling with Trump about them speaking the truth regarding the charges that was laid against him. Other news reporters and news network said the same thing, but you got ABC settling. Let me tell you something. Some of these companies are in the bag with Trump. Okay? And they do that for a reason, because now they're trying to make it difficult for journalists to say anything about Trump. That's why ABC settled. It's all arranged. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. What you want me to do? What you want me to do? You feel me? It's time for us to look out for each other like they're looking out for each other. You see how these billionaires look out for one another? You see how these corporations looking out for one another? It's time for us to look out for one another. That's how we're going to win. That's how we're going to win. Otherwise, y'all just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Trust me. How rich it is for people to accuse you of spreading something, and their top guy who just won president of the United States have been speaking and spreading hate for the last 9 years. And they want to accuse you of doing something like that. How rich is that? Hypocrisy is what it is. Hypocrites. A whole lot of hypocrites. That's all they ever do. Preach one thing and do something different. Whenever I say nickels, dimes, and quarters, just think paycheck. Okay, that's what I mean. Because we get them through here. Their job is to make sure that they keep the division going. Okay, that's their job. It's not really a check. It's digital. You may or may not get it, but it's digital. It's a promise made. And we know how Trump, follow up with his promises. Okay, just said digital money. Okay. So when I say nickels, dimes, and quarters, that is somebody that's waiting on a digital payment. That's what I mean when I say that. All right, because I know a lot of folks. What does he mean by nickels, dimes, and quarters? I just told you. All right, or it can mean sellout. Nickels, dimes, and quarters can mean sellout. It can mean dancer. Okay. It can mean somebody just spreading propaganda, misinformation, lies. It can mean they're doing their daddy's deed. It can mean they all are the same party, the same thought, mindset, DNA. They all got the same DNA. Oh, it can mean a whole lot of things, nickels, dimes, and quarters, So you can pick either one of them. Haters. Yeah, that could be a part of it too, John. Haters, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Yeah, they could be haters. You're right. All of that. Everybody wondering what we're talking about. We're talking about doing things outside of AJ's political views. We are serious. I don't just do all this talking for nothing. When I talk about unity, coming together and doing something different, I try to make sure that we can do it. Yesterday, I did have did I have two? Was it one or two? I think it was one young man that came up, and he was a Trump voter. And then the day before that, I had a Trump voter to come up. And, we got into these long discussions. And all you got to do is ask all the right questions, and they'll pretty much tell you who they are and what they're about. All you got to do is just ask the right questions. And so sometimes I take time to talk to these individuals, interview these persons, because I really want to know where their head is and where they're coming from. And what I find is there are a lot of them that are racist. I mean, let's just be real. Everybody, some folks that voted for Trump are racist. They got a problem with minorities and other groups. Okay, I didn't say all. I said some. Now, some people that voted for him believed that they had issues as regards to religion, and then some of them voted for him because they don't know any better, or what they call doctrinated, as people call it. So it's amazing to me how so many people say, "Oh no, you guys always want to make it a race thing. It's not really about that. What make y'all think Trump is a racist? He's not a racist." I mean, we even got black folks voting against their own interests when they supported Trump, and they don't even realize it. But then again, that's where you go. That's where you get into nickels, dimes, and quarters. Because I'm a firm believer that some people will sell their own folks out for nickels, dimes, and quarters. Believe it or not, it's happened down through history. Come on up, sir. We'll play the race card because it's the only card you have. Come on up. Let's talk about it. Come on up. I'm not going to say your name, but come up. Let's talk about it. Come on up, since you feel like that's where I'm going. All right. So we got our guests here. Me and Adam going to have an adult conversation. We're going to have an adult conversation. I'm going to ask him some questions. Let me go through the rules on the chat, Adam, so you can understand how we do things here, okay? We don't debate, all right? This is an interview chat live. I ask you questions. You respond. You ask me questions. If we open for questions, questioning one another. But I'm not going to get into a debate with you, okay? We don't scream and shout. We don't shout across the panel. I try to keep structure in order so people can hear what we're saying and what we're talking about, all right? So I'm going to give you an opportunity. I did read what you said in the chat. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me exactly what you mean, and then I'm going to respond accordingly. Go ahead, sir.
But it just seems like whenever things don't go a certain way for certain voters, they always play the race card. It seems like everyone's racist when they don't vote for what you guys believe in, but for when we vote for what we believe in, somehow we're racist. That makes logical sense.
All right. So do you believe that you're voting for a person or policy when you vote?
I voted for a person of policy, yes.
So when you vote for policy, sir, have you ever thought for a moment that maybe we feel that way, that people that do feel that way is because it's more than just voting for the person, but it's the policies that has to do with elements of racism when it comes to turning back such policies as the Civil Rights Bill, addressing the Constitution, attacking the Constitution that protects people fundamental rights in this country, Bill of Rights in this country, protecting people voter rights in this country, when we, people of my race, Black, have had to fight for all those things. I mean, do you think about that when you're voting about the rights of other people that could be taken away?
No, because like a majority of Americans, I vote with my own interests in mind.
Right. So you have a selfish vote, correct?
I have a logical vote, not a selfish vote.
Oh, so is it logical to vote against other people's fundamental rights and
Whose
civil
fundamental rights would I be voting against?
Okay, well, if you voted for a particular person that are seeking to implement laws to rob people of their rights, civil rights, what are your thoughts on the civil rights movement? Let's start there.
I would defer to ask the question what civil rights would be taken away or are threatening to be taken away.
Do you know Martin Luther King? Are you familiar with history of Martin Luther King?
Yes, I'm very familiar with Martin Luther King.
Are you familiar with Jim Crow laws?
I am. They were repealed in the 50s.
But how were they appealed? What made them go away?
Let's see. Civil rights activists fighting for people's rights. I don't know.
But what had to happen? The Civil Rights Bill, correct?
Which was passed.
Okay, well, let me say this. Being a Black man in America, I have rights. Do you agree that I'm an American? Would you agree that I'm an American?
Americans have rights regardless of race.
No, sir, that's not true.
That is very true. The Constitution does not discriminate between races.
Sir, we wasn't even acknowledged as citizens before it was written in the Constitution, sir.
And it's in the Constitution now, and somehow it's the fault of whom?
Okay.
It's the fault of my ancestors, and somehow I'm at fault for it?
Well, first of all, I didn't even mention your ancestors. You went there.
Let's just be honest. I mean,
No. Hold on a minute, sir. We're going to do this the right way, Adam. You went there. You brought up your ancestors. I didn't bring up your ancestors, but let me
Yes,
go.
because I'm not responsible for the actions of somebody 150 years
Okay,
ago. I'm
but I,
sorry. I'm
let me
not
ask you,
sorry.
sir. We're not talking about 150 years ago. We're
We
talking about
are
the
though,
50s.
because
We're talking about the
again,
60s. We're talking about the 60s, sir. That's not
my
150 years ago.
grandparents' actions are not my
Sir,
responsibility to
sir,
take
sir.
responsibility.
Adam, we're talking about the 60s, sir. That's not 150 years ago.
Again, I just restated that.
Roberto, you dropped him, didn't you?
Yeah, he kept unmuting. What an
Yeah.
asshole. You're out of here, dude. You come back, you'll be blocked.
Renee, I'm gonna go to Renee, and then we're gonna go from there. Renee.
It's just so frustrating at this point. It's like they come up here and act like racism doesn't exist in this country where we live in our skin and we see it every day. And I just wish these people would try and have an ounce of understanding and try and learn something. And he did have a selfish vote because he didn't care the rights about me as a woman, my daughter as a woman, all the other women in this country. And so I just wish they would come up here and be honest, instead of, he didn't say he had a selfish vote. He absolutely did. You were 100% correct, AJ. But anyway, that's all.
They know the truth. That's why they always speak from a place of emotions and anger because they know it's true. Because if he was so confident in what he thought and felt, he would not have suddenly got into an attitude. He hadn't even been up here that long. He was already getting into an attitude, having an attitude with me when I was just asking questions already. So you could tell when people know the truth, they get angry about the truth and they get mad because you know the truth. So listen, I give everybody an opportunity here, but that was unnecessary. But anyway, let me go to Angel, and then I'm going to Barbara. Angel,
Hi, good morning.
good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing as well as could be expected in this climate. I just wanted to point out three things, and I'm going to get off of here because I worked night shift last night. There was a study done. I don't know. I think it was a book written. There was something done where they actually made it to where the empathy gene was removed from and just let me cook. Empathy gene was removed from, it was in England or Europe. They removed the empathy gene from the
Well, yeah, but if you don't have a source, I don't want to put that out here because that could be conspiracy theory.
okay, let me go forward. So going forward from that, now, yeah, you got to look it up.
Angel, you there?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, because Renee didn't know that her mic was on. She didn't know that. So
Oh, okay.
go ahead.
So going forward from that, when these MAGA come up here and they have the most flat affect, and they talk to you like you just get madder and madder and madder because they don't understand. It's because they are a product of this, and you just have to look it up. I'm sorry, I'm going on with that. They have no empathy towards the racial divide. They have
Now,
no empathy, like I said.
do you believe that represents all?
What? I'm a biracial woman. I'm 53. I'm in Ohio, which I would not say that Ohio is a red state. I think it's like a purple state. But I believe in my bones that all white people are inherently racist.
Unless we have proof of that, because trust me.
Listen,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
work.
hold on, Angel.
I've been a nurse. I've been a
Hold on,
nurse for
Angel. Hold
30
on, Angel,
years.
Angel, Angel, Angel. Hold on, Angel. Hold on.
Okay.
You can only speak on your experience and the people that are around you. You cannot speak on millions of people in this country as regards to how millions of people is and how they think based on the few people that you've come across. That doesn't make sense. Neither one of us can do that. We can
You
only
know what
speak
doesn't
on.
make sense? You know what doesn't make sense is that um, we are still in the situation that we were 400 years ago.
Do you
That's what
not? Do
doesn't
you
make
not think? Do
sense.
you not? Do you not think that some of that is on us? That's the reason why we're
There's
there. I mean,
there's crabs in a bucket.
oh,
Yes, there's crabs in the
hold
bucket.
on, hold on. But look at. Oh, let me say something, Angel. And I feel where you're coming from. But another problem is we fail to look in our house. We don't ever want to clean our house, right? Because we've always known that we were hated. We are a hated people. We've always known that America has been racist. We always known that we had to fight extra hard to get what we want in this country. But yet, when we go into our own neighborhoods, where it is 90% or 80% of us, we are hurting each other more than they are hurting us. And that part we don't even talk about. I talk about both issues. If we, in order for us to see clearly, we got to figure out if we know. I'll give you a perfect example. We already know that the justice system is not good for us and will not protect us. But yet we got young men and young women out here that continue to get caught up breaking the law, getting themselves in trouble, and getting caught up in a law that won't protect them when we already know the justice system is set up against us. Something is going on in our communities when our young men and women look at each other and hate one another and unalive one another. Something is going on in our communities where we can see the elderly walking and living in our communities and nobody bothered to help that elderly in the way of helping them with their houses, helping them get food, helping them walk across the street. I mean, there's so much going on where there is 80% of us in communities. Okay, so yes, we know they got a problem. We've been knowing it for 400 years, just like you said it. We have to take responsibility as well, is what I'm saying, Angel. But go ahead, you can respond. Go ahead, Angel.
So when I said about, and you can look it up. I mean, I'm not trying to force it on you, but
You
you can
just
look it up.
overlook everything. You just overlook everything I said, and you want to go back
No,
to
I
the
haven't. I
YT.
swear, I haven't not
But you,
overlooked anything. I do. I am concerned about the unaliving of our youth. I really am concerned about this. I'm afraid for my life when I go outside. I understand exactly what you're saying, but what I'm saying is the the lack of empathy has been broadcasted. It's all for me and me for myself. That's what it is. And
okay.
it's a
Well, hold on a minute,
it's
Angel. Renee want to ask. Renee want to ask you a question. So let me get Renee in here. Renee, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's not that a question. I just want to say, I feel it. I feel the anger. But I will say this, that, and I'm speaking, you spoke in your experience. My experiences, I don't believe that all white people are that way. I mean, I come from a mixed family. I have white friends and family members, and I know they are not. I know they are not. So,
I wanted to go back to the fact that, like I said, my mother's blonde hair, blue eyes. I love my mother to death. But I see in her, so I have to look at her I look at the lens of the world. I see in her that inherently, and I'm not saying that she's physically, like permanently and damaged by her, but if you grew up any type of, like the lady said, if you grew up in any type of schooling in America
But
and
but
you're not
Angel,
racist, you
but
weren't paying
Angel,
attention.
but Angel, how would you feel if the YT people, a lot of YT people have a certain thought about us, right? They
Now,
think.
I'm not saying people won't ever evolve out of
No,
that.
no, no, no. You miss what I'm saying. You miss what I'm saying. You got to really think about how that sounds. What you just saying. You just literally made the statement that all YT people are has this was
Inherent.
they was robbed of
It's
their
in it's
empathy gene or
inherent.
something.
It's inherited. Yes.
But you don't have any proof of that. You're not a doctor or a scientist. You don't have proof of that.
Well, I mean, I am a scientist. Now, I am a
I
scientist and
mean,
I do look at statistics and I do look at the fact that, and I'm not saying that they're hateful, an inherent gene in them that they have to fight or overcome because it's been ingrained in them. Listen, me and my sister had to sit in the foyer of the Italian's house with my white grandmother. So
okay,
listen,
I got to be
I'm only
careful that it's going.
53. I'm only 53.
Hold on a minute, Angel. Hold on a minute, Angel. Let me back up. Let's back up a little bit here. You only gave us one source of where you got this information from, and you run with it, and you're running with it, right? And to make a statement like that, it's going to take some research, some study to get actual facts of what you're talking about. That is a serious statement to make. I personally cannot speak like that about all YT people because I don't know all YT people. I can only speak on the experiences and the people I've come across and the things that comes from their mouth. As it relates to the election and the individuals that's taken office, we say what we say about Trump because he has a history, and us that have studied and saw and learned, we know the history of Trump, and that's why we say that about him. For the most part, when I say YT people are that they are racist, it's because if somebody's going to vote, just like I asked that guy earlier, if you vote for a racist, what does that say about you at the end of the day? If you're voting for a racist, right? And his whole attitude is, why do we always have to make things about race? Well, we're not the one that created it. They did, right? We're not the one to create racism. Created for several purposes. It was created for the purpose of division, to have the poor white people go against the poor black people, that the rich and those that are powerful may maintain their power and their greed. That's one scenario. Then you have religion, the religion of colonization that is also entangled in that as well, which many black folks have embraced. The problem I have with that is we cannot become what we hate. I say that all the time. Be careful that you don't become what you hate and start speaking the same rhetoric that they speak about us. It's a tit for tat, right? Because the same thing you're saying about them, they're saying something similar about us because they don't believe we're human. They don't believe that we're citizens. Okay? They got a lot of thoughts about us, and both ways are wrong. You're building a case without facts. I mean, really, literally, you don't really have facts. You're building a case on something that you read or you heard or you feel. And that's okay. You have a right to your personal feelings. That's your constitutional right. You have a right to your personal feelings. I'm not going against that. You have a right to that. But you going on and on about this. And then when I mentioned about our own community, you skipped over that and came right back to what the YT people are doing. You don't want to talk about what's going on in our communities because you stopped talking about that and you went right back into the YT. The reason why we are where we are and the reason why we've been going through what we've been going through for 4 years because we have failed to prepare ourselves for times like these. That's another reason why we are where we are. So I'm going to let you finish your thought. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. I'm going to let you finish your thought. Unless you are getting ready to say something that can possibly cause the live to go down, I'm not going to interrupt you. But I'm going to let Renee say what she has to say, and then I'm going to let you finish your thought. Now, if I cut you off, that means you're saying something that can possibly have the live go down. Go ahead, Renee.
And I don't know if you heard this, AJ. I just said, I personally don't believe it. And, just because that is an experience of her mother and I understand it and I respect her experience, doesn't mean that YT people are all that way. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe that. Just from the people in my lives that I know who don't exude any type of that, and they are YT people.
Okay.
So I really am not trying to incite anything. I really want to say that um, I don't believe all YT people are racist, but I do have a feeling about, they grew up in families that promoted or, incited, a division. Okay. Um, and it wasn't my mother that did it for the people in the chat. It wasn't my mother that did it. It was my mother that woke me up to this. Okay. There's been like a division within the Black community about light skin and dark skin. There's been multiple divisions that I believe are inherent. They're not coming from us. They're coming from people that want to divide us. And that's where I'm coming from. There's people in our world, in our surroundings, that don't get us. They don't understand us. And because they don't understand us, they want to make us an outcast or make us feel like we don't belong. When I know I belong, I know I belong, and I know I make a difference. And I don't have any problems with any race. I want to learn more languages. I want to learn more about people. I just simply saying that there's a lot to look into as to why this lack of empathy and why they couldn't vote for Kamala Harris, why there's people on the Black side and the people on the white side that couldn't vote for Kamala Harris. She was promoting us to come together to work this out. And there is a reason, there is a strict reason why she didn't get voted in, because they don't want it. They
All right.
don't want it.
Okay, so let me cover that part. Okay, there are several reasons why she didn't win, and I'm gonna bring it to the table today. Many of us had an expectation that everybody was going to go along to get along with how the Democrats played it out as regards to the switch from Biden to Harris. All right. It wasn't her fault, but the way that was done was not wise. It was done in a very short time. It was a whole lot of chaos, whole lot of gossip. It just wasn't done right. And a lot of us had an expectation that all the Democrats was going to be okay with it. And they weren't. Not all the Democrats was okay with the switch from Biden to Harris. And I know many people want to believe that and want to believe, all the Democrats was together and we were just so glad to have Harris, although she was qualified. And her being the vice president gave her that right to hope to be in that position. That still does not mean that everybody had to go along with that because that was so. Because let's keep in mind, it's about everybody having their constitutional right to choose whatever they want to choose. So that is part of it. The other part is when you start talking about racism, let's remember we had a YT woman ran for president and they didn't vote for her. So if they didn't vote for a YT woman as president of the United States, what made us think that they were going to vote for a woman that identified as Black as president? When we know America have issue with racism. That's another part. So we're acting surprised and shocked as though certain things don't exist when it does. Now, Renee, I'm gonna go ahead and let you. I see your hand out there. Yes, Renee.
Okay, I really don't like to say this out loud, and I don't, because I don't want to feel like I'm being like the other side or whatever. But you know what? And this is my opinion, and this is what I've been looking at and seeing in the streets of people's votes not being counted, and just how everything went down, and the stuff Elon Musk has said. I don't know if I could say his name, but anyway, this is my opinion. They cheated. And I'm just going to say it for real. That's how I feel. Because my vote is missing, along with some of my other family members' votes. And when you start hearing about things in other states and how they were turned away and this and that, they cheated, period. And I believe that. That's it.
All right. So, okay. So let me say this here. If anybody would know that that is true, the Democrats would know it, because they controls the election. And if
No, I
you
think they
feel,
know.
no,
I think
well,
they know.
okay, so then we need to be asking the question: why are they letting it pass? Why are they not addressing it?
AJ, I think they are going to be addressing it. That's why there's such silence. You can't show all your cards. I think, and if you listen to how some of them are talking, like I said, I've been in these streets. I know people who have reached out and sent emails to Kamala Harris's, whatever, her email. They have that. Some of the responses that her people are sending back in a roundabout way. They're not going to be able to say it right now if they're researching or, looking into stuff. And that's just my opinion. Everyone has their own right to their own opinion. But if you look at, I just don't believe it. And
Well,
I think that it will come out. I think it will come out. That's all.
well, okay. So let me tell everybody something. I don't get into that, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't get into that. Because I'm not going to set myself up to be disappointed twice. I'm just not going to do that. And I try to, that's why I stay focused on, talking about other things and preparing for what I know. I can't speak on what I don't know. I can only speak on what I know. So what I do know, as far as the information that we're getting, what we're seeing and hearing, that this person is going to be taking the office on January 20th. So I'm preparing myself for that possibility. I know that a lot of people are wishful thinking and hoping, but we're talking about the Democratic Party here. When have you ever known them to stand up and fight for anything? If they do, I would be surprised.
Hey,
All right.
AJ, it's
Yeah,
Barb.
bro. Yeah.
So what we doing, so we won't go down that rabbit hole backwards again. We got a petition and we want to protect the Constitution. That's what we're doing. We're going forward. We're coming up with solutions. We don't want to stay stuck. We can't do nothing, about that situation. But all we could do is go forward and make change. Start at a grassroots level to make some changes that would benefit us.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Barbara. Roberto.
If you remember, I addressed this issue yesterday. If you missed it, look up Executive Order 13848, and that's all I was going to say.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna look it up. Let me go to Angel. You want to finish your thought, or did you finish your thought? And then I'm going to Q2. Did you finish your thought, Angel? Make sure she got a chance to finish her thought.
No, I just want to thank you for bringing me up. And again, why are they so mad? Why are they still so mad? I don't understand it.
Well,
I am very concerned for every single woman on this panel and everybody that can hear my voice. I am so panicked about my Black brothers and sisters that are going forward in this world and trying to do good and trying to better themselves while getting their own businesses and trying to do everything that they need to do. Because I'm going to tell you what I said earlier, I'm not going to repeat it, but they don't want us to do nothing. They don't want us to do nothing
Angel,
good.
but Angel, we got to keep it. We got to reflect back on our ancestors now, because they had it worse than us.
I understand that,
we gotta-
but the spiritual part of it is stronger now.
Well,
And so
hold on.
when I pray about this, I
Well,
mean
wait a
it.
minute. Wait a minute. You said, wait a minute. Hold up. I think the spiritual aspect was stronger then, to be honest with you. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't think it's stronger now. I think it was stronger then, because our ancestors had to go through far, far worse than what we're going through right now. I mean, we hadn't even, only thing we're dealing with right now is a whole lot of rhetoric. The man hadn't even taken his seat yet.
Say this, everything that's happening, everything that's happening is
Angel, wait till I finish my thought. We can't talk at the same time. Nobody can hear us if we're talking over each other. So wait, let me finish my thought and then you can respond. But if you and me talking over each other, it's just a bunch of noise. And that's not how we do it here. You know how we do it here, Angel. Okay, so let me finish my thought and then you can respond accordingly. I feel you. I feel your passion. I understand how you feel. Trust me. I get it. We all are feeling the same thing. Trust me. But we all are dealing with it in different ways. We gotta find another way to maintain our sanity here. Because I'm telling you, there's our sons and our daughters out here. And we're not even talking about the children that's in the foster care system. And I keep talking about it because nobody talks about it. And the foster care system has a whole lot of our children there that is depending on government help. And you got an administration that is going into office right now that's going to be in charge of that. Okay? So what I'm saying is there's a lot we can be worried about. Trust me. But we got to figure this out, a better way to deal with it. Because if we keep talking about what the bad's going to happen, okay, so what do we need to do to prepare for it? All right? Because at the end of the day, us talking about all this bad stuff is going to happen with no solutions, it doesn't mean anything. Let those politicians do what the politicians going to do. And we, the people, need to be doing what we can do.